Today we're going to talk about One UI 7 on the different Samsung devices and how it differs from One UI 6. And you want to stick around to the end to find out, is it equal across the board? And what is the #1 anticipated feature in One UI 7? Let's go. Here in front of me, I have the S25 Ultra, the Z Fold 6, the S23 FE, and here is the old S22. Now, the S22 is not getting the update, but I got it here so we can compare that to One UI 6.1, I believe is what's on there, and see what changed. So let's take a quick look at some of the features that is added with One UI 7 and what they all have in common. You can see I've got the large folders on all these, and I've showed these before in other videos. And we even have the large folders on the FE. You can sit there and shrink it or long press, and you can enlarge it. So that has come down to the E as well. So with the large folders, you can see here, if you can see the app, you can just click on it and it'll open directly. You don't have to wait for it. And notice the difference here on the FE and the S25 Ultra. This is 2 years difference. Not a whole lot of difference in speed. So that's a great feature to have. And then another one is the stackable widgets. You get that on all these phones here. But looking here on the One UI 6.1 on a Samsung S23, you also have stackable widgets. So that's not new to One UI. Now, something that is new to only the One UI 7 is the Now bar on these phones. So let's say, for example, you play something in the background on these phones. We'll even do it here on the S22. So let's say you play a video in the background. Let's start here. So got a video playing in the background, and then you go ahead and shrink it down to do something else. You can see that your video goes small, and you can continue watching it, which is a great feature. And of course, you can place it anywhere you want. But let's say you just want to continue listening to it. Well, let's go ahead and close it out here. You can see it's still up there. It's in the Now bar, and you can hit play, and it will continue to play in the background. 0.6 or 7.8, Apple will start out. And you can do this one too. Let's close it out, and you can see there it is. It's in a pill, and you can play it in the background. Same here. Let's go ahead and close it out. Still in the pill, and you can play it in the background. But over here, you can close it out, but there's no pill. There's no Now bar. But you can swipe down, and there it is, and you can still play it. So it's playing in the background. You just can't see any shortcut indication that it is. Hey, I want to take a quick second and tell you how much I appreciate you for watching this video. Do me a favor, if you appreciate my video, smash that like button. It really does help out the channel and helps me to provide more content just like this. Let's get back to the video. Now, another thing about this Now bar, let's say you have multiple things going on right now. Now, here in the clock settings on all of them, you can go ahead and just start the timer here. And then if you swipe down, you can see here, it's running in the background up here on all of these, which is nice. And you can actually swipe to see what else is running in the background, like so. Then you can see on the older version, it puts the timer right down here at the bottom, and you can move it. And you can do the same thing with these. You can take and move it anywhere you want it. Now, I don't see the need for having the timer down on the bottom when you have it up top. It doesn't make any sense. So you can actually go into settings here on the phone. And what you do is you go into apps, and you go into the clock settings. And then under the clock settings, you have where it says show mini timer. You just turn it off, and the timer is gone. That's what I did here on the S25 Ultra. As you can see here, you do still have the video running here in the background, and it also shows the timer in the background all here in your control panel, but you don't have that nice little Now bar up on top. Another thing about the Now bar is when the phone is turned off and you click on it, you can see the things that are running in the background right there. Then you have the same thing with the Z Fold here. You got the Now bar, and you can check them out. You can do the same thing on the F. Let's go ahead and tap it, and you can see it's playing right there in the background, and it'll switch. Now here's a change on the control panel. When you swipe down for the top, and you get your notifications and some control panel controls, but then you got to do a second swipe to get all the controls. And these controls, you can actually edit some of these. In other words, you click on this, and you can edit and move these around. Otherwise, you can go over here and edit some of the top icons, but otherwise not a whole lot of options for editing. Now, where it's changed on One UI 7, you not only just swap there, you can swap from one side and you get just the controls. And these controls, you can edit them. You can actually slide these out wherever you want them. Like I like my brightness and everything up top. And you can take these and you can move them anywhere you want. You can resize them, which is quite a big difference in full controlling your control panel. Now, of course, if you want your notifications, you can swipe down on the left side. Now, if you prefer the old way of doing things, you can go into settings here, and you click that settings button and panel settings, and you can go together. And then together, when you swipe down, you get it just like you used to. And that's the same on all these, you got the same thing. Right side, left side, right side, left side. So basically, more customization in your control panel with One UI 7. Now, they move the camera features around a little bit in One UI 7. On the old version, you have the shutter button down here, and then your choices of cameras right here. So let's go ahead and go to photos. And then if you wanted to change any settings on these, they're all up here. So in other words, if you wanted to change it to a full screen or whatever, you had to go up top. So there's a lot of movement of fingers. They made it all a little more one-handed on One UI 7. When you open up the camera, you can see here, all the controls are down here on the bottom. So you can choose which camera you want. Where it's above there, it's down here. You got more there. Also, when you go to more, you can see they're here. More on this one, way over here, they're way up top. They put them down below, made it a little more accessible. And then in photos, when you want to change some things around, they're right down here on the bottom. So you can change your aspect ratio to full screen. You can actually change to the 50 megapixel camera right there, which before all had to be done up top. And you can see you got the same thing over here, except that you can see the foldable does it just a little bit different. So let's fold it, and then you'll see that it's the same on the Z Fold as well. Now, something else that has changed on these, if you pick one of these up and you shoot a video here, and let's say you start your video and you want to change your cameras, you can go here. It all of a sudden pops up these different zoom ranges, so you can just tap on those. And you can also long press on these, and you can slide it real easy to give it a more cleaner transition if you choose to. Where it changed a little bit is from the older version. When you do choose your zoom length here, you do get extras, but they're down here on another level, so you have to hunt for them. Where on the new version, you can see it's right there. Once you click it, you get the other options right next to it. So you can see they're just trying to make things a little more handier. Now, there are some other camera settings as well that you discover those on your own. But for now, that's the camera. Now, here's one of the biggest features and change to One UI 7 that everybody's been waiting for. It's something small, but it's also big. And that is, notice how when you swipe to go into the app drawer, there's the app drawer. To get more apps, you got to swipe to the side. If you try to continue to swipe down, it just goes back to the home page. Whereas on these, when you swipe, look at that, it scrolls vertically, which is what everybody has been screaming about, and I do prefer that much more than going side to side, because it's just more natural. When you swipe up to go to it, then you have to swipe a different way to see your apps. That's crazy. And unfortunately, if you have an older phone that doesn't have Android 15 or One UI 7, you're stuck with this horizontal app drawer. So something you need to know, it doesn't come default in vertical settings in One UI 7. It's under sort. If it's under customize, it only goes horizontal. When you try to scroll, it goes back to the home page. So what you got to do is you got to go in here and you got to go to sort, and you got to change it to alphabetical, and then you have the vertical scrolling. And then here's another thing to notice with the vertical scrolling. Here on the horizontal, you got the search bar on the top, which again, that prevents kind of one-handed use. Or on the One UI 7, when you go in and you have vertical scrolling, it's right on the bottom, so you can actually go right to it and start tapping and doing your search. So they do seem to be addressing one-handed accessibility more in One UI 7. Now let's check out the sidebar. The sidebar, you've always been able to add apps and everything, and just click on them to open up an app, which is something that hasn't changed. So what's different on this is on the sidebar, you have additional features like AI Select here, or Draw Assist, Interpreter. Now you can add more things there, but these are more AI assisted apps that you don't get on the older version. Now here's a feature from One UI 7 that didn't make it to the other Samsung phones, and it's quite disturbing and bothers me. If you hear on the sidebar, you can see this thing called Now Brief. Now Brief is something you get in the mornings when you first open up your phone. It's a button icon that you can see there on the lock screen, and it'll open up and it'll show you certain things that are going on like your weather and your events for the day. And you can also go into settings and you can add more things to it by selecting content to include. And I've got a lot of things here selected. So Now Brief is a really nice feature, but if you look, you can't get that on these others. And it's not that it's just not on the sidebar. So what you do is you go into settings on these things and you go down to where it says lock screen, AOD, and Now Bar. And if you look here on Now Bar, you have News Brief to turn on, current mode. On here, you have the current mode, but there's no News Brief. And if you do more settings, it just shows you the things that you can actually add to your notifications. So all things are not equal with One UI 7 on the devices. So Samsung does have some exclusive features for the newer model, the S25 series. And I'm guessing they may hold out some features going forward on even newer models. There's a whole lot of things that have changed in One UI 7, like motion animation or even customizing icons and resizing, but those are not really big use features, which is all I really covered in this video. Now, One UI 7 is basically more geared towards the AI features, so you're only going to find most of the features on the newer models, and that's probably going to even play out more so in the upcoming phones, such as the Z Fold 7. Now, if you want to see more what to look for on the upcoming lineup of the Samsung devices, check out this video here. Until next time, remember, God loves you.